Hello, everybody. Welcome to McBiz, the radio show of the Martin County Business Exchange Club. I'm Lee Carroll, finally back at the microphone after a month of away with other adventures.
Welcome back.
Co-host Frank Mezzapel. Hey, Big Frank.
How you doing?
Oh, doing great. It was fun to be away for a bit. Well, I wasn't away. I was just tied up with other obligations that interfere with being here on Wednesdays with you and our guest. Hopefully, John Campion did a great job as the other co-host of the show.
He did. Always giving a nod towards you, though.
Oh, he's a nice guy.
Yes.
He's a nice guy. I'll have to thank him next time I see him. Because he and I are hardly ever on the show at the same time, of course. He has been the guest a couple of times of ours.
True.
And we always have fun. We always have to kind of have our finger on the red button, though occasionally.
He always says, after he says things, he says, "Can I say that?" Too late.
Yeah, supposed to ask that when we're off the air before we come back on.
Too late.
But it is fun to be back after basically a month of doing things on Wednesdays as a volunteer at Martin County High School. Our guest today is somebody I've known long before I was ever in the club, Ron Burns. I knew him from SVI Security, and we'll talk about how it's not SVI anymore for him. But later, in fact, there is no SVI. But we're digressing a little bit here. Our guest today is Ron Burns from Group 1 Safety and Security. Ron, welcome to the show.
Good evening, everybody.
Glad to have
Struggling
you on the
with
show.
those glasses.
Yeah,
huh?
my glasses don't want to stay on the head here. I mean, I don't really need to look up Ron's name. I'm pretty familiar with the guy.
Yeah, there you
go. But Group 1 Safety and Security, tell everybody what Group 1 Safety Security, where you guys are located and what you do. Ron?
Well, we've been in business since 1984, and we're located over by Jack James Drive and 95. And we've been doing sprinkler systems, fire systems, security, cameras.
That's Frank's of my favorites, the cameras.
Oh,
It's everybody's favorite lately. And basically,
good. It's good to know we're not weird, right, Frank?
yeah, that's right.
Basically, I tell everybody we do everything where the voltage doesn't kill you. So I just did a speaker system for somebody, and so it's quite a great experience to have all these different diverse fields to work in. I enjoy it.
When you say speaker system, you mean for entertainment purposes?
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
As opposed to speakers, hey, you, don't go there.
No.
Okay.
We do that too, though.
Hey, do you have fake dog barks?
Actually, Alexa does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you
we'll
can
talk about the internet and everything tying into your systems later.
Yeah,
but,
you can. Yes, Alexa's got a dog barking.
Can you pick the kind of dog you want it to be?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Well, that's something you can tell them to start doing.
Rottweiler, right?
As long as it sounds bad enough, that would be
German Shepherd, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully enough to scare somebody off. We'll talk about numbers later, but what's the best number if somebody says, "Hey, I think I like this Ron Burns dude. I'm going to get a security system." How would they reach you?
My cell number would be the best. It's 772-888-6327.
Now, they would call that number, or I assume Group 1 is online somewhere?
Yes. They've got a website where you log into that, and you'll be able to have a link, and they'll be able to fill out a questionnaire, basically what they're looking for.
And you guys do commercial and personal as well as residential, right?
Oh, yes. The commercial is a big aspect of any alarm company. Between fire and residential fire and commercial, it's a big deal.
So if somebody sits there and says, "Okay, I read all the time about burglaries or attempted burglaries, or nowadays it seems to be in the news around here, a gang coming up from Fort Lauderdale. We should put a sign out on 995. I know it's totally politically incorrect." That it lists all the names of the people that have been convicted. I don't think you can put arrested yet on the sign that say, "These people came from Broward County to rob people in Martin County and got caught. Do you want to join this list? If not, go somewhere else." You think we should do that, Frank?
I like that. What a great idea.
Yeah, I think Snyder can find that in the budget. and scare some of these people off, because we keep hearing about this.
Right.
It's actually somewhat rare that the big burglaries are actually from our own residents. So if somebody has something, your neighbors are not necessarily your best eyes and ears. The security system is right. Is that right, Ron?
Definitely.
That's better than neighbors looking out, right?
The people are getting robbed, and they don't even know it till they get home.
Right.
So the horse is out of the barn. So you really need to do something to prevent them from coming any closer to the house.
Now, if somebody says, okay, I don't even have a clue what to get. Do I want to get just alarms? Do I want to get cameras? I know cameras are the big deal. That's the sexy thing, and we definitely want to talk about cameras.
What about proximity alarms? Do they have that, like after you walk up to a certain point on a property, it just all of a sudden the equipment turns on, or is it?
Yes, but it's very, very expensive.
Yeah.
That kind of system is typically for government, or people have got very high-end equipment in an outside yard. And I just quoted somebody, it would have been almost $10,000 in parts and $1,000 a month. Because what happens is there's a monitoring company that watches the video. So these special cameras...
They watch it live real time.
Yes.
Yeah.
They will get a notification from the camera that there's something moving. It comes up on their screen, and they verify that it's really someone there, or if it's a raccoon. And if they do end up calling somebody, it can be quite expensive. So that $1,000 a month could be $2,000 a month if you've got a really active area where they're being dispatched quite often. So it's very great. I mean, I love perimeter.
Yeah.
Keep them away from...
Right.
But it can be very expensive.
Now, if somebody just has a standard house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a living room and a family room and a kitchen, the standard house, not talking about some kind of mansion, and they're like, I want to protect myself. I want to let them know that they've been caught. How do they go about that? They give you a call, you go out and make some kind of assessment, but how does that system work?
Well, we would actually go to the site, and not just for security systems. We would just say, take that ladder away from the side of the house, lock it up, put it in the garage. Don't make it easy for them to get in the house. Put up sticker bushes around the perimeter of the house. Well,
yeah,
it's really true.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to make it
video.
difficult.
Yeah.
My job, and I've read the book on it, that it is my job to make sure nobody gets close to the house. So the further away from getting inside the house, the better. So it turns out that perimeter protection is very expensive, but there are options for a home where glass break detectors are the best option as opposed to motion detectors. Glass break detectors are just a microphone. And when somebody comes up and knocks on that sliding glass door, the alarm goes off and they're not inside the house. You can have that on when you're home. There's downsides to everything, though.
Yeah.
So I had 2 dogs. I hadn't used my glass break detectors in 16 years because they're barking.
Those are your built-in.
Yeah, they were scared. They were chicken.
Yeah, but all they have to do is say something and growl or something.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of different devices for a home that you can add to the system besides motion detectors.
All right, talk about what those devices are.
Well, I've had one customer put a Doppler system on the outside of the house. And that basically is very expensive, but it picked up people coming up, even up to his dock. So that was very expensive and very cool system. But the average person, every door and window should be done. I had a customer that refused to do the 3rd floor window, and he was a doctor. And I said, that's not a good thing. You're spending all this money on the house. Why not just do it right? Because there was roof line access. You climb up from one roof to the next. Right. Sure enough, somebody got in the 3rd floor window. So every window should be done. I know there's budgets that people have to stay by, but if you do it right.
Now, if somebody had the normal house I'm talking about, not necessarily modest, but a standard house, in a suburban neighborhood here in Martin County. What kind of money are they looking at to wire the doors, the windows, like you're talking about? And then we can talk about cameras also. But just a basic, hey, you open something, you break something, an alarm's going to go off. How much does that cost?
Well, the perimeter detection, doing every door and window, if there's no system there whatsoever and it's difficult to get in the attic and wire it, wireless has been the big way to go. It can cost $1,500, $2,000 to do it the right way, and the monthly monitoring fee can range anywhere from $25 to $45 a month or even more.
But you won't go broke getting it, in other words.
No, and the insurance company can give you a bit of a discount for having a monitored alarm.
Yeah, you can go to Wendy's on the discount. It's not a whole
I know it's not
lot.
much. I know, but I know some companies that advertise you get 15-20% off, and anyway,
they don't.
The best thing about security systems, they can also be a fire and life safety system. So if you've got bedrooms that you don't have smoke detectors in, you really should put a smoke detector inside all the bedrooms, and carbon monoxide.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about the carbon monoxide. Yeah.
Yeah, is the carbon monoxide an issue much in Florida?
Not that much, but it's happened. Matter of fact, a customer of mine, I did her business, and she called me up and she says, I need my system activated. At home, I get to the house and she tells me that her son came home really tired, parked the car in the garage, went to bed during the day. She comes home from work early for a change, and she
What's
finds
that? Wait a minute. What is? Define the term "going home early from work." I'm not familiar with that term. Are you trying-
yeah, right. That is a foreign word.
Does that mean the light is still on outside?
3 o'clock in the afternoon. I remember that. I remember this. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She gets home, and her son was blue. He was
Oh, my
almost
gosh.
dead.
Wow.
He left the car running in the garage, and I've been around this business a long time, and that's not the first time I've heard it. Someone leaving a car running.
Yeah, and it's not airtight between the garage and the house.
No.
No, well, we've heard of old people, like Frank, that will come home and get the groceries in or something like that, and forget about the car. They get putting the groceries up. Somebody else, the wife nags them about something. Now, Frank's wife not a nagger, so that's not a good example with Frank. But they get nagged about something and they forget about the car, and yet it's
distraction.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's.
And the generators during the hurricanes are also another issue.
There's always some moron that gets in
they'll
trouble
park
with
it
that.
on the side of the house, like you said, Frank. That there's the ventilation. That gets sucked up inside the house and goes throughout the whole house.
You always hear about something like that.
Yes.
And they blame, they say it was a death caused by the hurricane, kind of more about stupidity, but still, yeah, it happens. Well, then if they'd had an alarm, it would have gone off and told them something's wrong in this house.
Yes.
Right. So the gas-fired appliances, like gas-fired water heaters, and of course up north, the gas-fire, central heating too.
Yes.
Those are big causes of CO2.
Yes, and that's really where it all got started, was up in the north.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite customers, him and I were going over the floor plans, building this nice big house, and he asked me about carbon monoxide detectors, and I said, in Florida it's not an issue, and this is almost 15 years ago. And he goes, well, my son died of carbon monoxide.
Oh, my.
And I was like, and I'll never forget that conversation, and we're still friends.
Yeah, well, how would he have known? But
No, but still, it's, carbon monoxide is the silent killer. You'll never wake up.
Right. And it could kill the whole family.
Yes.
Because it's happening to everybody at the same time.
Yeah. Even if you don't put it on the alarm system, you can get the plug-in modules. But if you're dazed and confused from the carbon monoxide, that plug-in module is not going to help you much. You're not going to, where you need outside help.
Right. You need somebody to come in.
Right. So that's the good thing about all the alarm systems now. They have all the capabilities to add so many more devices than when I first started 30 years ago.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
Now, besides the miniaturization of cameras, or for that matter, the use of cameras on a regular basis, probably the biggest single innovation has been the Internet. How has the Internet changed security?
It's been one of the biggest helps and pain in the same sentence.
Yeah, because prior to the internet, you used the phone wire system, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so with the internet,
So as soon as somebody cut the phone line that was a sophisticated robber, you're dead in the water.
exactly. And that's what happens when people say to me, well, I don't want to spend a lot of money. And I say, well, then just get the camera from Best Buy or any place like that and plug that in, and that's it. But it doesn't have much storage, if any at all. So if you're not watching your phone 24 hours a day, you're not going to have any record. But the new ones now, like All Pro, you've got the opportunity to have off-site storage in the cloud. So that's a good benefit for a lot of people. If you want to just watch who's coming up to the front door. And like the Ring doorbell, that's another good option that you can actually talk to someone.
And you guys can install those for people?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But the alarm industry, they will charge you a monthly fee for that, so I never recommend that. They're not that hard to put in.
Okay.
I bought a version of it, and installed it because I always like to try these things
tinker
before
with it.
before I sell it. And
Now, is that wireless? I mean, do they have to have a wire in their house at
I
some
had to
point?
run. I made a certain circuit and a power box just for that camera. And the thing was, the internet wasn't too strong, so I had to get a new Comcast modem. So there on my camera video, I get a film clip. There's the UPS gentleman walking up with the box, and he tosses it about 5-6 feet to my front gate. So there, my evidence of how things get delivered was right in front of me. And so the camera worked great.
Now, what did the UPS supervisor think when you showed him the video?
As long as the box worked, the Comcast modem, I didn't say anything to anybody.
Okay.
But it's the
But
cameras.
there's some UPS guy out there listening to this show going, uh-oh, that might have been me, and oh, boy.
Yeah. But the internet has helped an awful lot. It used to be that you had to run a cable all the way from the camera to a recorder. Now, if you've got a big building or a big home,
Or a two-story house where there's no access in between floors.
well, this type of internet that I'm talking about is hardwired. So if I've got a big, huge factory, I can run one wire halfway down the building and bring 4 cameras to the network switch instead of running 4 wires and taking a lot longer. Then if I want to add more cameras, I buy a bigger network switch. So that made life easier. But the one
Now, what is a network switch?
It would take your service, and you could plug in more devices.
Oh, okay. Like a multi-plug
Yes,
would be for a...
right.
Like an extension cord with
Right.
multi. Yes.
That's exactly what it's like. It just so the one thing about the wireless internet is that if you're down and out of service, that camera's not going to work.
So if a hurricane hits, you have no juice, and somebody wants to break in your house, you're not going to know it.
You're toast. Yeah. So if you don't have constant power, like with a power backup, a UPS, or a generator, your camera's going to be down and out if you don't go to a recorder.
Right. When you say UPS, you mean uninterruptible power supply.
You got it.
Okay.
See, Frank is pretty smart. People underestimate Frank, man. He's got it going.
I see that's where the difference with the professional is that you have to take all these things into account. You have to say, okay, how many network switches am I going to need? How big do they have to be? According to the cameras you're using. The UPS is very important. And you always put a note on there, do not plug anything else in, because it's now that UPS is just keeping your cameras up and running.
Just for that.
Right.
You don't want to go there and see them plugging in a toaster and
Find
everything
out
else to
the
it.
battery's gone once the
Yeah,
thing goes
right.
on. Right.
Yeah, so, and then the internet I find very unreliable. That's why I like to have cameras that have an SD card built into them. So if you've got a problem with the recorder, it's not working for some reason, gets hit by lightning, whatever the case may be, the backup would be the USB card. So it's The SD card. So it really is a very, very important thing is not to trust anything.
And have some kind of backup.
Yeah, you want redundancy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that the thief would be smart enough to steal the card, or is it even stealable?
No, it is. You'd have to just yank that camera off the ceiling or wherever it's mounted. And that's the other thing is, I go to places and I see the cameras about 6 feet off the wall, and I'm like, boy, that just snatch that and it's over with. Or you see the recorder sitting on somebody's desk. That you're going to get robbed. They're going to take the whole evidence.
Right. It's not unless it's contemporaneously stored in the cloud somewhere.
Yes, and that we supply lock boxes, a special metal container, and I run a sensor from the alarm panel to that. So if anybody even opens the door to it, the alarm goes off. So we know someone's tampering with it. So I always tell people an alarm system's like a boat, and same thing with a camera system. You have to have a backup for a backup.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you like the idea that not just does it go to Central Station, but it also makes a loud noise and scares the heck out of the thief, and they know that they've been caught and they better get going? Or do you like the more silent type where everybody's of authority is alerted, but the whole world's not?
Well, it's all according to the scenario. In a business, yes, you make them dizzy with the sound if you want. That takes a lot more equipment to do something like that, but if you the louder you're going to make it miserable for them, the better off you're going to be. In a residence, especially if you have pets, like when I had pets, I never had a siren. And then eventually I put in a speaker and I recorded her voice. It's okay, Mitzi, my big girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was okay with it because the beeping of the keypad would scare her.
Right.
So at least when somebody broke into the house, it would speak, and they would know something's going on. I didn't need a siren.
Right.
So it's all according to the scenario. I did a Dogs and Cats Forever up in Fort Pierce, and I put strobe lights all around, away from the cages, just so enough that the people that were staying there watching the dogs, they were there 24/7, they would be able to watch for the strobe instead of a siren going off, scaring the daylights out of the animals.
Oh, clever.
Right.
Yeah.
So that worked out good.
Yeah.
All right.
So at some point, people can make it so they can get alarms and cameras around their house. And the question that people like you need to help them do is, how do you store this information? How contemporaneously do you want to be able to get it? We haven't even talked about how they can check stuff on their smartphone. Maybe we'll do that after we come back.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And now it's time for today's Southeast AgNet Report, brought to you by Everglades Farm Equipment, a family-owned business for the past 50 years with 10 Florida locations, including Fort Pierce, Okeechobee, and Loxahatchee. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. You are listening to Meet McBiz with Lee Carroll and our special guest, Ron Burns from Group 1 Security. I keep
Safety and security.
Safety and security.
Safety comes first.
Yeah, you know, because I mean, you've been so much affiliated with another firm, and it's just in my brain that way. Yeah. I'm hardwired that way. That's all right, but you've landed in a really good spot. You're with a good company that close to your roots of what you like to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very, very close to SVI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit about smartphones and how that's changed things right before we hung up, before we went to break. Tell us how smartphones tie into the security world nowadays.
Well, with the advent of the internet with recorders, it's really made life so much easier for the end user to check on their system. So they could be out at dinner and just check on the house, wherever they've got the cameras.
Out of country.
Yes.
Anywhere.
Oh, I've got a customer in Italy.
Yeah.
And she will check on her alarm system from the smartphone, and she's talked about getting cameras, so that's the next step.
Yeah.
But it really is so much easier now. And the app on most of these 2 camera systems I deal with, they're just so user-friendly. It's not like it's a nightmare to deal with.
Now, you don't have to sit there and study your phone the whole time and watch your house not moving as much as it alerts you when something causes it to be alerted?
Yes, and it's great. You can make it convenient. You can say, I want to be notified Monday through Friday between 8 and 5. So this way you're not getting inundated of movement around all the time. So in businesses, usually set it up for after hours so they get notified. Or a special room. If you've got a camera in there, you want to know who's going in that room. So, and I've got one customer who's got an email just for the camera system. So he can check that email instead of getting inundated, because you can really get inundated if you want it. It's all according to how you set it up.
Now, tell the story about the guy that had all kinds of things going on because of where he planted something.
Oh, yes. I had
I love this
put in a camera system, and the gentleman called me up and he said, I'm just back in town and just want to let you know that the camera recorder's full. And I said, that's impossible. You've got a 3-month recorder, because he travels an awful lot. And so I go to the house, and there's all new landscaping with a tree blowing right in front of the camera.
Must be like a palm, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So every time, and he had a lot of landscaping done. And so every time the branch blew back and forth, it went to the recorder. Because the camera will look at a room, and there's nothing moving.
Right.
It'll go to the recorder, but not to the hard drive.
Right.
So then when someone comes walking in, it'll grab that movement and put it on the hard drive.
That is amazing how sophisticated the software has to be able to recognize that.
Oh, no, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
What I love is the algorithms. You can set up a scene where you can say, if this happens over in this top right-hand corner of the picture, and this one over here, send an alarm. So it can trip an alarm system to send you a signal saying something's going on with that camera. So that is very handy. And another new feature that just came out is that your smartphone is also a camera. You can take your smartphone and take a video
Of what you're
of what you're seeing, and it goes to your recorder at the house.
Say that again now?
Yes, when you've got the app on your phone, so look at your cameras at home. Let's say you're seeing something going on when you're out to dinner. You can videotape that, and it'll go to the recorder at your house.
Oh, my.
So you can actually be able to print that out and give it as evidence to the police.
Now, in the old days, if you watch, so-and-so got stabbed in the parking lot of someplace, all you see is a shadowy figure walking across. You can tell something not good is happening. Nowadays, they're much more sophisticated and better, where you can identify the bad people now pretty much, or get a face shot of them rather than just the blurb of a person.
And that's true, but each camera is meant for a specific scenario.
Yeah.
So if you've got a dark area, you need to get a camera with a better setting for the lux light. So it really makes a big difference. You've got to pick out the camera for that scenario. When you buy a kit with a bundle of 4 cameras and recorder,
Yeah.
those 4 cameras are going to go into they're exactly the same. You're going to be putting them in 4 different locations, and no 4 locations are exactly the same. So you're going to get a different picture
Yeah.
quality on your recorder. And also, I see some people putting in an old TV, using that as the monitor to view at their house. Well, if you really want to see a good picture, get a 4K TV, and you're really going to get a good picture.
Right, not some old one.
Right, and I changed a cable to an HDMI for a customer, and it made a world of difference in the picture. So you've got every single piece of the puzzle adds up to a great picture.
What's the most interesting job you've done? If you can tell it without identifying who it is here, if you don't mind sharing some war stories with us.
Well, this could take up all night.
We'll take 5 minutes because I'm going to use 5 minutes at a quarter till for a special dedication.
I was called in to take care of a house, and got there, and it had been under construction for 3 years already. And I know the guy who started to pre-wire it. He was the second person that started to wire the house. And so we walk in, and we make a deal, and I know the guy he says, I'm glad to get out of the job. The previous guy wiring the house, he says, we went over everything. It turns out, a total of 7 years, that house is under construction. And
I can't imagine.
Oh no, it was amazing. This man changed everything multiple times.
Oh, so it's not like he ran out of money and it sat for 3 years.
Oh no. He's a billionaire, and he had another house going on at the same time in New Jersey. So this house was incredible. He had 3 vault doors. They were actually called embassy doors. He bought them from a friend who made doors for embassies, and they were bulletproof and explosion-proof. You walked in from the garage into the house, and you had an eye retina reader, and with one eye you would look into it, and it would open up the door. If you had 2 eyes in the scene, that meant it was a panic situation. He had the same exact door inside the master bedroom leading into a safe room, and also a door leading into the master bedroom. 50 caliber glass in the IT room and the security room.
Oh, God.
Then there's a gentleman in town that made the room into a safe. There was a bedroom with a walk-in closet that was 12 feet by 12 feet by 8 feet high. This man made sheet metal, half-inch sheet metal, and put a security door on that, and then put a safe inside that, and didn't think it was safe enough, so he had the guy put on another half-inch of steel around this whole room.
Good night.
I'd imagine there's an alarm systems point that if something was happening, the cops would be getting called right away.
Yes, and he had his own monitoring station. He bought his own monitoring station. And he had 36 cameras inside and outside the house, pressure sensor steps leading up to the dock. This guy also had Doppler, which is incredible, but it still causes an awful lot of false alarms. And he had the perimeter sensor we were talking about before, underground. It's a cable that the White House has it. You put the cable down around the perimeter, and it feels you walking. And it knows the difference between a dog and a human, and it knows to the inch where you're standing. So he did all that. Besides, every window had a shock sensor built into the frame. It was just amazing. Total of 3 alarm systems in the house to back up, to back up, to back up. So it was an astounding process. And when we were finished there, after 7 years, he still didn't have drywall up yet.
Oh, my. Oh, my. He probably spent more money on security than most of us would on our house.
And I've had another customer like that. It's not about the end result; it's the journey.
Yeah.
He just wants things perfectly his way. It was an amazing, and I never met the man.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the house, the wall had to be almost a foot thick.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could attack. ISIS could attack that place and not going to
Oh
get
yes,
in.
I don't know who he got mad at. Who got
You
mad
stepped
at him,
on somewhere on the way up.
Oh yeah, yes.
Or something.
Yeah.
But,
But it was a great project, and the gentleman that from SVI, the security company I used to work for, that ran the project was astounding. He did an awesome job, and also they had magnetic door locks on every door. It was just an amazing thing to see.
Wow.
Wow,
It's
that's
like
incredible.
A candy store, where the fun things for you to do.
Oh yes, it
Yeah.
was. It was it was the job of a lifetime because
Yeah.
there was things there that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, like embassy doors. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
I would never thought about putting something
Right,
like that
right.
on a house.
oh no, and I never. My wife would have shot me if I did that at our house on our bedroom door.
You just stand on the other side, then it's no problem. All right. We'll be right back with Lee's story when we come back, so stay tuned. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to McBiz. Lee Carroll here with Big Frank Mezzapel and our guest, Ron Burns. I'm going to do a little digression. I normally don't. I definitely blabble on at times, but usually don't digress completely off subject. But I am today because I have to say something to friends that are in town. I'm a relatively athletic guy. I've done some fairly dangerous things in my life, done quite well in the sports that I've played, and it's rare that I get involved in an athletic endeavor where I am just completely humbled. But that occurred Sunday.
But you found such an occasion.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and I have to publicly state it. Our friends, my wife Mabel and I have friends from Canada, Bob and Vicky Reed, and during the Olympics we got to talking about curling. The United States won out of the blue the gold medal, and having watched them a little bit on TV, they were pathetic when we were watching them, and I would have thought they would have ended up in last place. Well, our friends found out about a curling thing you can go to in West Palm Beach, and 6 of us went down there and did it on Sunday, and don't laugh until you've tried it, because it is way harder than it looked.
Not
Very
for the faint of
humbling.
heart, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and the skill level that it takes to make it look as easy as they do on TV is not readily accomplished, and in my case, not anywhere close to being accomplished. So I just want to make a basic statement about curling. It was an incredible experience. I want to repeat it again next year. I don't need any pulls, strains, or anything to mess up a hike I'm intending to do the length of the Grand Canyon back and forth later this year. So training has been completely disrupted due to pulled muscles, and but as a result of probably putting too much stress on the wrong side while I tried to push the stone. But it was a very humbling, incredibly good experience, and I recommend curling to anybody that wants to be humbled. Because,
right.
boy, oh boy, it is way harder than it looks.
So what do you wear on your feet to get out on the ice?
Tennis shoes is what they told you to
Okay.
wear, and
All right.
they actually gave you a couple big rubber bands to put around the front of your shoes, around them, but also, but not the length of your shoe, around the front of it.
Right.
And I never felt uncomfortable walking on the ice. And I learned what the sweeping means and what it matters, and that there's definitely a difference between good sweepers and bad sweepers. And I don't mean the actual broom, but the people behind it and the
Right.
force they put behind it and how they do it and all that kind of stuff. I learned all that in 2 hours, and definitely I'm not any good at curling.
Well, maybe next year.
Yeah, without a doubt. But
Yeah.
Bob and Vicky, if you're listening to the show, it was a great time. We'll do it again next year when my snowbird Canadian friends come
All right.
down, and I'm going to be better.
All right. We'll get my wife to teach you how to do Tai Chi. And that'll help improve your motion and your muscle control.
My motion and muscle control is pretty good. Just not too good at curling.
Yeah, but your muscles were sore, so
No, I pulled something.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
All their
okay.
other muscles, they felt fine.
Okay.
But I leaned on something all too often.
All
and
right.
I'm walking pretty good right now. But
Okay.
For a while, I was thinking, is this permanent or not? Then I was going to kill Bob and Vicky. But now that I know it's not, I recommend curling to anybody, and it is nowhere near as easy as it looks. And I understand now why it's an Olympic sport and not just something you play in your backyard.
Okay.
Actually, you got a pretty big backyard to have a sheet big enough for that. I can tell you that. It's a lot bigger course or sheet, as they call it, than I ever would have thought. So,
Wow.
Ron, I appreciate you giving me 5.5 minutes here to ramble on about something I never in a million years thought I would ever do, and that's curling.
I thought I'd never hear the words that it's really a sport.
Yeah, well, after having done it, I'm telling you it is. I can't say I've done it. I have attempted to do
yes.
it. I did skiing and other alpine sports and cross country thing with other stuff and skis that I don't normally do. As somebody that the only thing northern about him is he lives in northern Martin County. But I could reasonably do that and not fall down and pretend I'm actually decent at it. But curling, I can't pretend anything. I wasn't worth a hoot. And I didn't expect to ever say that. I thought it'd be pretty easy. They show you could be basics, boom, there it goes, and okay, there's nothing to this. Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Okay.
I feel the same way about surfing. I went on
I
a family trip, and I'm pretty athletic. And my father-in-law got on the board, and I didn't. I was the only one that didn't get up on the board. I was getting so frustrated, but
It's hard to do. It's genuinely hard.
Yes.
And at our ages, for us to try to do something like skateboarding would be potentially life-threatening or limb-threatening. Last time I got on a skateboard, I remember the old ones that I grew up with, decent at it, and boy, it flew out from underneath me. I was about 6 feet high. Well, it seems 6 feet. It's probably more like 3, parallel to the ground, with a sudden fall. Without being able to stop anything, and that was kind of humbling too.
Yeah.
But I could see myself getting better at skateboarding quicker than I could at curling. So anyway, we don't have much time left, so we want
about
Ron
5 minutes,
to give us a little bit to more about anything that you wish we had thought about talking to you about, Ron, from Group 1 Safety and Security. Tell everybody once again where you are and how to reach you, for one thing.
My cell number is 772-888-6327, and the office is by Jack James Drive in Stewart, and we do security, we do cameras, fire systems, sprinkler systems, network cabling, you name it. Like I said, the voltage doesn't kill you, we touch it.
We didn't get a chance to talk about getting the cops involved, but have you had situations where you know that your systems has actually helped them arrest somebody?
Oh yes, there was a issue with car washes for years. They were constantly getting robbed. The coin machine.
Oh, the coin machine. Okay.
So, and it's not coins anymore. I wish it was.
Yeah. They use credit card machines now. Yeah.
The picture, there's the picture of the guy standing there trying to attack the machine. So, got him.
Now because somebody recognized him or something triggered that, hey, it's happening now, cops
the camera,
get there now.
Camera got him.
Okay.
So...
No, the camera got him because they identified him, or because that triggered the cops to come right then?
No. They identified who it was, and it was a crystal clear picture of the guy. It was a great picture.
You can't deny it's him then.
Oh no. This wasn't a vague picture, and that it's very satisfying when I get a call from someone saying we caught the guy or prevented them from getting robbed.
Something started to happen and your system stopped it.
Because I have seen it. I know there's a family that got robbed years ago in town, the whole family, by gunpoint. And I had been at the house 9 months earlier to look at the alarm system, and they decided not to get it fixed. Well, when I heard about it on the radio and I saw the police around the house as I was driving to work, I got a call, and I was there by 8:30 fixing their alarm system. It's devastating what it did to their family. They had to move. So I see the other side of when people get robbed. It's not just that something got stolen from their house, their security of their own home.
Or outlook on life in many ways.
Yes, it really changed a lot. So that has stuck with me a long time.
Well, I'll never forget something that Marcos from ServPro said to me. He used to be a member of the club after I had a big water leak in my house, and the ceiling had to come down on the first floor, ceiling and stuff. And I'm sitting there looking at it with him, and he looks at me and he says, "Everybody thinks it always will happen to somebody else."
And it's true.
And it won't happen to me.
That's true.
Kind
it's
of
just about every disaster.
And to this day, the pipe the hose that broke on the upstairs connection to the hot water spigot at one of my upstairs bathroom sinks is still on my desk to remind me that it can happen to you.
Well, that's the one thing the alarm system can do. We can shut off your water when you arm the system to leave the house. And that's been around way before the home automation now.
Did you know that, Frank?
I did
How
not.
come you tell this 1 minute ago in the whole show? That is incredible.
That is amazing. And it's old technology.
Old technology. Very old.
Wow.
Like
is it old as Frank?
No,
Nothing's
nothing's that
Not
old.
quite that.
He's as old as water.
Well, Ron, we really appreciate you being on the show, and hope somebody can get spurred to get a security system in their house, because it's obvious from what you're saying that there's something that can fit somebody's budget.
Yes, it definitely is. Just
And
give me a
anything
shout.
is better than nothing.
Yes. Peace of mind.
You don't have to be Fort Knox to have security.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys. It was a great experience.
Hey, we enjoyed having you, and we'll have you back again. All right, take care.